I know that standardization is not so popular among the scientists, but believe me that development of quality management systems can be also creative and attractive. I'm from the Faculty of Pharmacy, Department of Social Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Legislation, and we are involved in some EU and national projects about quality management in healthcare. Why this comparative analysis is very important now? Because this year, 2015, is some kind of crossroad of integration and development of two very important standards in pharmaceutical industry. First of all, it's pharmaceutical Bible of standardization. It's GMP standard, Good Manufacturing Practice, and also ISO standardization of quality management system. It's a new version. That version will be issued next month. Now we have a final draft issued last month, July 2015. We can tell that both standards assure monitoring of quality standards in design and planning of the processes. But ISO standard, ISO 9001, is mostly process approach where measurable monitoring, evaluation, and improvement of processes is the main task. But GMP standards, GMP guidelines are a regulatory response on poor product quality with big consequences to health safety. You know that this standard is developed because of thalidomide catastrophe in last century. 2015, we have very strong harmonization of two standards. You know that until 2009, pharmaceutical industry recognized only GMP standard. They neglected ISO standardization, and ICH guidelines, especially guideline Q10, emphasizes highlighted importance both standard. ISO and also GMP standard. New version of ISO standard will be closer to the other ISO standards, for example, environmental management standards and the risk management standard the other, and also as well as GMP standardization. Facilitation of compliance with both will be very, very important because pharmaceutical company already granted GMP certificates. I know that majority of you are not familiar with these standards, so I will skip this presentation in very short level, just to show you what is the news from and changes for GMP and ISO standard, and what is future challenges for integration of that standards. Actually, top changes in GMP standards are Chapter 3 about premises and equipment, Chapter 5 about production, quality control, Chapter 8 compliance, quality defects and product recall, and also two annexes, Annexes 15 and Annexes 16. What is the main change for all those standards? All chapters now are focused on risk management. Every decision about dedicated facility, about new processes, about new product introduction has to be based on risk tools, about risk assessment, and scientific knowledge about these risk management performances. Especially it's valid for dedicated facility. You know that some manufacturing of products, especially for high potent products, beta-lactam products especially, has to be manufactured in separate dedicated facility. Now GMP is much more flexible and GMP standards said that if cross-contamination risk is not controlled properly with the procedure, it can be a strong toxicology analysis and risk assessment of these products to cross-contaminate the other product within the same facility. The same approach is about manufacturing processes. Focuses on prevention of cross-contamination, also risk assessment and risk analysis based on toxicology results. It means also risk analysis and risk assessment of supplier of active pharmaceutical ingredients, sampling reduction for quality control, and some alerts about ceasing or discontinuation of the production. Quality control chapter is now more focused for analysis of and evaluation of out of spec, out of specification, and out of trend results. They offer additional requirements about trend evaluation and investigation, and also how to manage, how to deal with analytical methods transfer when we develop product in one facility and we would like to transfer product to the other lab, to the lab for regulatory authority lab. Analytical transfer has to be also based on specific parameters and criteria. Quality defects, complaints, and product recall now has some new terminology, and also GMP standard highlights risk-based approach with root cause analysis, corrective and prevention actions, insist on recall simulation if there is no recall in pharmaceutical manufacturing site for 2 years. And also management inputs for successful handling of deviation and compliance. Regarding annexes of new GMP guidelines, Annexes 15 is now much more updated about terminology, regards user requirement specification, factory acceptance testing, site acceptance testing. What does it mean now? Revalidation, requalification, retrospective validation is not accepted anymore, and the other interesting things to be followed if you want to reach and renew GMP certificates. I also have to highlight that new Annex 15 is now also valid and mandatory for distributor companies. So validation of transport vehicles and whole storage facilities has also been validated according guidelines of this annex. What is the top changes in standard we expect next month? I told you that ISO 9001-2015 version will be issued very soon. Also, point of main task and main issue is risk management. All process approaches has been revalidated and re-evaluated by risk assessment and risk analysis. Now, new structure of this version of standard has two new chapters. New chapters are risk management, risk analysis, and very strong performance evaluation. Process approach has to be based on risk assessment and also identification, measurement, monitoring, and evaluation of key performance indicator in organization has also to be monitored and identified by strong quality management tools. Now we have also a new chapter, new approach about changes of organization. All changes has to be under control, absolutely same as GMP standards suggested. In this slide you can see flow chart of ISO implementation. ISO also is based on Deming PDCA cycle, plan, do, check, act. So each process has to be done and followed by this Deming cycle. Leadership and management, according to the new version of ISO standard, has to be based on complete organization knowledge and expectation of not only of customer, not only of management board, but of all interested party, all stakeholders. So some outsourced activity also has to be much more under control and much more under risk analysis, and risk-based approach is also very manageable in this area. Very big changes in new version of ISO is recognition of quality representative of the management board. ISO standard now doesn't recognize quality representative because full responsibility of quality of organization has to be done by top management. There is no somebody, only one person who is responsible for implementation of quality standard. And finally, just take a look on requirement similarity of ISO and the GMP. This blue similarity is already done by previous version of standard, but new similarities is listed in red. Just to summarize, it is change control, risk management, KPI monitoring and evaluation, knowledge management as well, and control of outsourced activity. Actually, these activities is practically the same and has to be run on the same manner, both in GMP and ISO, new version of ISO. But unfortunately, we have also still some differences in those two standards. ISO is voluntary standard and it can be implemented in all sectors and industries. And standard review or surveillance of this standard can be managed every year, and the recertification is every 3 years. This is the same according new and previous version. And the inspection of inspectors who give certification of this standard, it's very strict. It is not possible to manage both version of standard together. You can receive just certificate for one particular version of standard. And the efficacy of the quality management system is based definitely on all interested party satisfaction, not only for customer. GMP standard is a mandatory standard. There is no new drug on the market, release of the batch certification on the market without implementation of GMP. GMP is valid only in pharmaceutical sector, and review and surveillance of this standard is depend on regulatory authority, on demand when you have new product or new equipment on the site, and also when some quality defect is occur on the market. Recertification depends on regulatory authorities. Most of EU country has regulatory recertification and inspection every 3 years, and FDA has every year recertification. Differences between ISO and new version of ISO and the GMP is of responsibility of batch certification. According to GMP, responsibility of release of the batch of some drug on the market is only by qualified person. It is only valid for European market. I'm now focused mostly on EU GMP, but FDA has different approach about QPs. I don't want to discuss this issue because it is the separate part of comparative analysis. And also, main point of GMP is quality, safety, and efficacy of the final product. I can conclude that this significant harmonization between GMP and ISO has great opportunity for integration management system, and everybody who deal with new integration management models has very good opportunity to show creativity and and facilitation of harmonization of these standards. But harmonization doesn't mean mutual recognition. If you grant a GMP certificate, it doesn't mean that you are grant at the same time ISO certificate. Thank you very much.